What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Mike Robinson, and this is another episode of Let's Take a Walk. I hope everybody had an amazing week. I definitely did. It was cold, but I'm used to it. But we finally made it to my favorite time of the week. That's Friday. That's when I'm here with you guys. And so, as usual, Let's Take a Walk brings you the most interesting, hustling, business-oriented and focused guests that we possibly can. And tonight is no different. Tonight we have three, count them, three dynamic women, business women, bosses in their own right, that have saw fit to not work independently, but to come together and collaborate to become what you see as the transformation trio. Now, when I first came across these young ladies, I was like, are they a singing group? Are they dance? What do they do? You know what I mean? Do they juggle? What do they do? And as I did, my further research, I realized that they are a team that has come together to empower those who may not be savvy in different areas. And so the three of them cover a multitude of ground, if you will. You have a life coach, you have a financial person, you have a financial analyst and a budget person. I mean, you name it, they do it. But I don't want to steal their thunder. So I'm just going to give them a moment to kind of reintroduce themselves if you are not familiar with these three dynamic women. I'm trying to find their statement because I thought it was really dope. I thought it was really dope. And I have questions about them too. The transformation trio of coaches comprised of three dynamic women who harness the power of God to guide us towards a more fulfilling life. These three authors and coaches have effectively led conferences, leadership groups, and various events. If you aim to spark inspiration at your next gathering, having the transformation trio present is essential. So if that doesn't say it all, I mean, I don't know what does, but I'm still going to allow them to kind of reintroduce themselves individually and tell you exactly what they do within the movement. So starting with you, Miss Kim, you got the floor.
Thank you, Mike. So I'm Kim Porter, and I'm a life purpose transformation coach. I like to help people when they're feeling unfulfilled in their careers to really find clarity, direction, and develop a plan specifically around their gifts and talents so that they can live out their life purpose and determine a way that they can earn a living doing what they love.
Mm-hmm. And I'm Debbie Porter.
Okay, Miss Debbie.
And I deal with, I'm a life and business coach. They haven't figured out what they want to call me yet, but either way, I help individuals give birth to whatever it is that they want to do in life and still have time for themselves, their family, and their friends, because people have a tendency to get lost in that. So that's primarily what I do.
And my name is Angela Dees, and I'm your financial transformation coach. I help you get your money right. To bring out the millionaire in you. I feel like we all have one in us. We just have to get our mindset right, get our purpose together, get some balance in our lives, and make moves to really bring it out so that we can do as it says in Proverbs 13:22. We can start leaving an inheritance for our children's children. So that's my goal.
Amazing, guys. As I said earlier, or no, seriously speaking, when I looked into your movement, you know what I mean, I really was like, what do they do? Because when I first looked it up, I guess there's an Asian pop group called the Transformation Trio, believe it or not.
Get out of town.
I didn't know that.
So yeah, so I was like, no, this is not. So when I finally found your site and I was sent your information, I got more clarity, and it just made it more interesting, and it made me want to learn, dive deeper.
Right.
It's not often that you see people, that men and women like yourselves, who walk in different genres of culture, come together. They're usually, I'm over across town, you around the corner, and you across the street. You know what I'm saying? It's never in the same, under the same umbrella. So, the first question probably is obvious, like, how did this come about? Why did this come about? When did this come about?
I would say the why would be because the only place you get to live in a box is on this little thing you have us right here. You know what I mean? Like, there's no other place that you just only get this one little section of life. And so life is primarily, are you moving in purpose? What's going on with your mindset and balance in business, what Debbie handles? And then, we all know that we got to get that money right. And so that would be the why, just because we're not in one role of life. We're not in one box. We've got all these different areas. And so we want to be all inclusive of those areas. I could talk a lot. So does anybody want to take the how?
Well,
the when.
The how and the when, Debbie is my biological sister. And then we say Kim is our sister from another mister.
Okay.
My dad claims her as his sixth child. We worked together for 20 years, 30 years?
30 years at this point.
In different capacities, and really have always worked in these lanes, but recently have decided to come together and officially, form a coaching business where we offer services. And then, we've done some conferences and things together, as well as offering individual classes for individuals and businesses who want to transform their lives and transform their businesses and go to the next level. So it was just a natural progression.
It was
of things. Yes.
And we confuse people because Kim and I have the same last name, but Angela and I are sisters.
Well,
Debbie and I are not related at all.
That is interesting. That is very interesting. Because I thought sure that Debbie and Kim were absolutely.
I know.
And I think I even told somebody that.
There are two sisters in the group. I'm just not one of them.
And we consider her a little sister. So
absolutely,
it's all okay. It's all good.
And so we Kim helps you get to your purpose and what it is that you want to do. I help you do it, whether it's a business, and Angie teach you how to save the money.
Right.
And instead of sending people everywhere, let's do this together, because I'm gonna send you to Kim and Kim gonna send you back to me. And even if I got a client, I was like, I think Kim would better help you first.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
Same. Yeah. And
Even
everybody needs.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and everybody needs a little help, tweaking their finances if they're trying to start a business, or if they're trying to grow a business, or just individuals if they're trying to get their financial house in order, which is necessary, period. So, they usually have to take a stop through all three, and we do the same thing. Oh, you're trying to increase your money, because a lot of times I'll say, I've been in financial services. I was officially in financial services with insurance and investments I guess about 15 years ago, until I moved to more business consulting. And the main thing that people would focus on when they're talking about like getting your budget together. Okay, well, let's figure out what expenses we can reduce, which is good. And you want to do that. But a lot of times we need to spend time figuring out how to increase our income as well, because if you don't have enough month and money, it's just not going to work. And so what we found is they can start with me, but a lot of times we might pivot and say, you need to talk to Kim about your purpose, because she can help you really figure out what you should be doing, and Deb can help you implement it. And then that's going to increase the income so that you can really put together a realistic budget. So it's all interrelated.
Because Mike, I really deal a lot with the mindset, because we can't do anything until we get the mind right.
Right. Right.
And so before, if one of them see that that's off, then they're going to shoot them over here to me, or vice versa. But everything first starts with the thought, the mind.
Right.
And so we get that straight first.
With that being said, what is what do you find is the most common mistake people make when they come to you?
When they come to us?
When they come to you, initially.
They're doing too much.
And what
they're
does that
trying
mean?
to take on too much.
Okay, gotcha.
They're doing too many things, and you just can't do it all. And so I kept them to come up with the word. My favorite little 2-letter word is no. No. Some things you have to say no to so that you can say yes to the correct thing. But people are saying yes, 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 and you don't have time. You look up and you have, if you have a family, you have a career, but then now you've lost the family or you've lost the friends. And that is not how God intended it to be. So they're doing too much. Decide what you want to do. Let's remove that fear and dive into what it is that you really want to do.
Do you and you know what, I ask this question a lot to like more so like real estate agents and people that procure money to buy homes and stuff like that. You guys, and this might sound like a funny question to you guys, but do you guys have trouble with people with integrity or being honest about the position that they're in when they're coming to you? Like you may ask them how much money they have or what their budget is at a certain point, and they may say that they have more than what they have, or they might have less than what they have, or whatever, because they feel like maybe you're judging them. You know what I'm saying? Because when you talk about helping people to change their life, that's not, I assume that's not always an easy thing. When you're talking about you're basically altering somebody's normal.
Right.
So people tend to give you only what they want you to have. And is that something that you have to contend with? You have to you find yourself coaxing some things out that, that people try to kind of like, hold close to their chest, or are people usually an open book to you?
I mean, I think anytime that you're coaching, you're going to end up coaxing some things out of people, because for me, I'm dealing with, what is your purpose? Mm-hmm. What were you born to do? And so it's taking a good, real introspective look to say, I'm doing things I don't even really like doing. I go to a job, think about how many people, I've said this to coworkers, employees for years, 40 hours is too many hours to be at a place that you don't really like to be at. Mm-hmm. And so asking people to take the time to start saying, this is what I really don't like about my life. This is what I do like about it. And let's figure out a plan to get you able to do more of what you like, and use that word Debbie said, no to a lot of that stuff you don't even really like doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it translates to their money, because once they get clarity about what to say no to, it makes it so much easier. It makes it so much easier to manage money. I think there's a sense that, we buy all this stuff to please people that we don't even know and who don't even like us, and it's because we're saying yes to a bunch of things that we think we want, and we haven't really decided what we really want, and don't really have a sense of who we really are. Because when you have a sense of contentment about who you are and whose you are, then that's when the magic happens, because then it's easier to say, no, I don't have it. That's not what I'm choosing to do with my money right now. And it changes with different seasons as well, because when you're younger, yeah, you want to invest, but if you have a young family, a good investment may just be spending more time with the kids.
Yes.
Right.
That's a great investment, so it changes in different seasons. Then once they get older, hey,
go crazy.
Yeah. So you change what you say yes and no to, and you adjust your money accordingly. When your money starts getting clarity, so does your life, so does your purpose.
Yeah.
And so for us to answer that, Mike, I think that we really vet the people that we are going to work with. Like, we really talk to them, and we can't accept everyone because some people are not meant to work with you, and you pick that up front. And, sometimes you'll give them some work to do before they come back. Well, why don't you go and do this? And then we can talk. Because sometimes they're just not ready to invest in themselves. So, yeah.
Wow. Do you find that that's certain ideals are attached to certain ethnicities, if you will? Do you find that people of color, have a different challenge than other ethnicities, do when it comes to that very thing that you're talking about?
I think that sometimes coaching is new to us. If it's not on a court or a football field.
Wow. Okay.
I think that sometimes coaching is new to us. I've known Debbie. I met Debbie as my high school teacher in the 9th grade.
Wow.
Right?
That's a story in itself, right?
That's a story in itself. And so I've always been open to Debbie teaching me something because that's how I met her. So everyone's not open to saying, you know what? I need a teacher to help me with my money. I need someone to coach me in my money. I need someone to coach me in my marriage because this is not something you've ever done before.
Right.
I really could use a coach to raise these kids.
Right.
The first one, I've never done this before. I could use a coach in my life. And I think that people are becoming more open to that, especially when you give them the example of, you don't mind getting a tutor for your daughter who's struggling in algebra. You want the best coach for your son on the football or basketball team. Why wouldn't you invest? Why wouldn't you open your mind to, I need a coach for life. I need a coach to elevate. I need a coach to break through. And so I think it is something new to us to say a coach is okay.
Yeah. I tend to see that, and to kind of elaborate on what I was asking, is that particularly with us, people, not only are we fighting against, being responsible and being accountable for our finances and budgeting correctly, we're also contending with culture. You know what I'm saying? Like I think, I'm not sure who said it, but one of you alluded to it. We buy things to appear a certain way to certain people who don't really care anyway.
Right.
You know what
Absolutely.
I'm saying? But we kind of grow up with a kind of an innate um desire, I guess, to quote unquote keep up with the Joneses or even be
Right.
the Joneses,
Right.
even to our own detriment, meaning like we're fly every day, but there's an eviction notice on our door when we, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, and it's so funny you bring that up. I have to relay a story. I share this all the time. When I was in middle school, I remember so many of my friends, like they had the best, clothes and latest sneakers and everything, and I was just like, oh, okay, that's nice. And not that we were raggedy, but we shop with sense, I'll say.
right.
And I would be surprised that, oh my gosh, they live in an apartment,
Yeah.
And nothing's wrong with living in an apartment. I'm not saying it to say that, but I didn't understand. To me, so much money was placed on like a temporary, but like, where's the house? Where's the investment in real estate? So I think that, we were very blessed to come from a family that said, hey, have something, have some stocks. So we see this all the time, but I think I would like to say it's getting better. I'm going to claim that it's getting better. Or I will just say, when some people get to the point where the light bulb comes on and they're like, hey, I'm ready to, really make some different decisions, then.
Well, again, I say that, it's not necessarily, we don't necessarily set out to do some of the things that we do, but we've been kind of conditioned to consume but not conserve. You know what I mean? So
and some of it isn't just cultural. I will say, in working with clients, it's not just the Joneses, it's also the Smiths, trying to keep up with the Smiths, because we have seen some things,
Yes.
So it's not just us, but yeah.
Okay. So what would you say, and this question is for all three, this whole process of coming together, and when you think of the strides that you've been able to make and the people that you've been able to assist, individually, what do you think is the biggest thing you recognized about yourself that you didn't necessarily know about yourself going into it? Like, when you look at what you've been able to do, like, how have you changed, or how have you evolved? What would you say is the most obvious or present thing within yourself, that you found about yourself that you didn't necessarily know about before you decided to do this?
That I'm not as patient as I thought I was.
Okay.
And I think a lot of that may have changed over time, just as you grow and get older, just I'm not nearly as patient as I thought I was. And I am more direct than I realized. So I've had to back. What's that face?
Really?
I was going to say, you didn't realize that you were direct.
I realized that I was direct, but it becomes a little bit more blunt now.
Call it like you see
I've
it.
always been direct, but sometimes it comes a little. I have to come back and buff it out, which I have no problems in saying I'm sorry, I'm wrong, I shouldn't have said. But I guess that's the biggest thing for me.
Okay.
And you see both of them gave that look when I said direct. Yes.
Yes.
What about you, Miss Kim or Miss Angela? What do you feel like is the most glaring or obvious change, or what's a trait that you found in yourself that you didn't necessarily recognize going into it?
I think for me, it was just learning to give myself grace.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times, you want to check the boxes, and try to get it all done, and just like I say in my book, sometimes we have detours,
Mm-hmm.
and so when we have detours, when we have life happening, we have to give ourselves grace and say, okay, like Siri tells us, okay, rerouting, let's reroute and know that that's okay.
Yeah.
So just the ability to be patient, I guess, and to still off of David, be patient with myself and give myself grace when life happens.
Understood.
Learning the ability to do that.
All right, Miss Kim, it's on you.
Believe it, they're going to find this funny, but I've become more compassionate.
She has.
She has.
Okay.
It's almost like we flipped.
They co-sign, so you good so far.
Yeah.
Because for years they said I had none. So
No, she
it's
had zero compassion.
Wow.
Zero.
Wow.
so I think that though, in finding my purpose, because I always define purpose as not your plan, but the plan God had for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so in finding my purpose, I've learned to become more compassionate toward his people. I always say that when people meet me, I want them to meet God. Because for some people, they were not raised in church. They don't know anything about Jesus, or they have a bad in their mind. I don't want to hear all that church stuff, Jesus stuff, all of that. And so years ago, I decided that I may be the only time they get to see what Jesus looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And so to offer more compassion during the coaching, where I would have before rolled my, did they just say that? And rolled my eyes and God is good, Mike. God is good.
I get it. That's amazing. And you know what? Like, just hearing you say that, it just brings up more new questions in my mind. Like, just being, spiritual people, loving God, and you believe, being Christians and whatever. The people that you deal with aren't always spiritual. And so how do you navigate that? Because I'm quite sure you don't, slap them over the head with a Bible and say, the Lord said that you don't go out like that. But like, do you feel like you've kind of mastered the art of being spiritual in a more subtle way? Or, how does that work?
I don't know if I've mastered it. I try to walk in grace and extend grace. And as I like to say to people, I'm not going to shame you for not knowing Jesus, so you're not going to shame me for knowing him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That is how I start my day. I'm going to always give him the acknowledgement. I don't want to make a move without consulting. And I like to tell potential clients, if you don't want to hear nothing about God, I'm probably not your person. Because I'm not going to be able to navigate you through it. And I'm praying for you before and after the session. And so if that's not your thing, I'm probably not your person at this moment for me. And I'm not going to hit you over I'm not going to quote scriptures or anything like that. But I'm going to tap into, again, for me, purpose is what is God's plan for your life? And if you don't want to know that, then this is probably not the way to go.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Does anybody else want to field that question?
I think mine has changed a little bit because before I was working, with companies, and I had to be more, compliant about how I presented information. And so now I just kind of fill it out. And if I feel like this person is, biblically minded, I can actually say certain things that I wanted to say. And it's really the same thing. I'm just may not be quoting scripture in verse, you know,
Right.
but I'm still giving the same principles that I did when
Right.
I was meeting compliance guidelines. And honestly, most of the people that seek me out, they know, well, I'm giving you biblical principles and financial strategies. Because here's the thing, I can tell you so many stories where, you know, 1 + 1 did equal 2, but we have so many testimonies and businesses that we work together in where 1 + 1 equaled 200,000. And we were just like, that was nothing but God.
Right.
Right.
And it didn't come from having a budget correct. It didn't come from savings and investing. I mean, and I'm just talking about some straight
Checks in the mail. Just
checks in the mail showing up. And that's the kind of stuff that can't be taught in that's not the kind of stuff you're going to see in a typical financial textbook. So I think when people come to me, they know they're going to get that aspect too, because, you know, we have receipts on how God has just showed up in so many ways when we've had life detours and things happen, and just, you know, several times, you know, we have a family business, and, you know, we would consistently be fasting and praying, and then, oh, you know, here's this check for
This amount.
here's this check for, and it's just like, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and so that's the kind of thing that you can't really explain, or you're not going to see that in a Susie Orman special.
Okay.
So when people come to me, they know I'm not just giving you, I'm going to give you that too, because we do need to be good stewards. We do need to take care of our budget. We do need to learn about mutual funds, save, invest, get out of debt. But we also need to fast and pray. We also need to pay attention to, you know, what God is telling us, so that we can just, when we have that situation where we're just like, we don't know what to do, you know, and just allow him to show up. And he has time and time again in our lives. So.
And Mike, to coach, you have to be comfortable in your own skin, especially as Christian coaches. You've got to know who you are and stand firm in that, which is something we're very comfortable doing. But it's not just non-Christians. Sometimes it's Christians.
Yeah.
Quote Christians.
Yeah.
And I think it's because they think that they cannot have fun, you know, being a Christian. And so we do a conference. I don't care what we do, it's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun.
We do a God First conference, and we started with God First, praise and worship, but then we go into a deep down party, like a party. And for some Christians, they just don't think that those two things align. And so you have to teach them that they can have fun and be a Christian.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think that I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. That's it.
I think that you know, kind of add on to that, like, just simply show love.
Right.
You know, I don't necessarily feel like I have to quote scriptures to people that I meet unless it calls for it or I'm led to or whatever. But for the most part, we're just required to show love.
Absolutely.
And I think that even the Bible tells us, and I'm paraphrasing, but it says to show yourself friendly.
Yes.
And I think that's where a lot of us fall short. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was saying, you know, sometimes if a person is already judgmental or condescending or somewhat arrogant, the worst thing that they can do is get the knowledge of God. And I know that sounds crazy, but let me kind of
No, we
expand.
get it. Yeah.
I think that sometimes people, if you already carry yourself in that way, people tend to use that instead of using that as a tool of change and a tool of self-reflection. They use it as a weapon. They weaponize it
Absolutely.
to justify the arrogance, to justify the judgmental, excuse me, to justify, the the bad behavior. You know what I'm saying? But he called for us to love, to show love. You know what I mean? And generally, when people see the love in you, they want to know where it comes from, and they genuinely tend to want to emulate. Okay, well, how did you get that? Or why do you act this way? Or you could have stepped on my neck back there, but you didn't.
But you
didn't.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
Meekness, yes.
it really goes to showing love, and I know, and I'm not trying to simplify it and make it simple, because I know that there's a lot that goes along with it, but at its core, we show love, we have fun, we smile, we you know what I'm saying, we hug, we show genuine concern for one another. And I think that's sometimes where we fall short, because like you were saying, we want to be so regimented and so in a box that, oh, you can't do that, oh, you can't go there, or you can't listen to this, or you can't sing that, you can't wear that, whatever the case may be. And so I get it.
Yeah, because you said it's not that simple, but it really is that simple. Like, I was talking to a friend a little before we got here, and they were telling me that they were at church, and that the pastor said, like, if you were at the party, you're guilty too. And I said, well, guilty of what? Like,
No, tell your mimosa story.
What? I was in a meeting, and we were planning an event, and one part of the event was going to be a gospel brunch. And one of the planners that we were working with said, so can we have mimosas?
This is on a college campus. Huh?
And it was a college campus, and he said, can we have mimosas? And I said, oh yeah, sure. And the other guy looked at me and said, y'all going to hell. And I said, for a mimosa? You have half of it is orange juice. Like, for a mimosa? We're going to hell? Like, so it is definitely, it really is that simple, because as Debbie was talking about, our conference is called the God First Conference. And it's really just about God is first. Right. In everything we do. And I always like to, when people tell me about like a party, I always remind them, have you read the Old Testament? Because the party lasted for days.
Days.
7 days. They were partying. So back again for a mimosa. Now we had to it just don't add up for me, Mike. I mean, maybe it's just me, but it just doesn't add up right. So I'm gonna go back to what you said. It's that simple.
Is that
love?
To love, to put God first.
Yeah.
In everything that you do, to put God first, and God will tell you if you don't need a mimosa. I was explaining that to the young lady I was talking to. I was like, for me, a drink is not ever a thing. That I got a one drink. This body won't handle but one drink. Right. So that's not for me. That's not where I would be gluttonous. That's not where I would be sinful. Now, a piece of cake, a birthday cake, now we got to have a different conversation.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? And so I think it is just that simple, but sometimes we really want to make God very complicated. And then it's harder to get those who don't know him to come to him, because we made it look so complicated.
Right. And that's the key right there.
Mhm.
People have a certain perception of, what spirituality is, and so, again, you can't, especially if they have no experience with church or, that type of thing,
Mhm.
and then you're preaching at them. It just gives them a distorted view of what it really is.
Yes.
So I get it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For sure.
The three of you are accomplished authors as well.
Yes.
Did you write these books while you were in business together, or was this prior to?
It was prior to.
Part two.
Okay.
Mhm.
Being able to create, a body of work that people can, that they can use as a tool, or, as a tool or a guidebook to,
Mm-hmm.
Enrich their life in one way or the other. What was that process like for each one of you? Just being able to, because that's not something that people do every day, and that's not something that, is an easy thing to do. So, like, what was that process like, and how does it help you now? Accomplishing that, what role does that play in what you're able to do today?
We hired a coach. As simple as that. We really did. It's something that you talked about. Talk is cheap. You can talk and you can talk and you can talk about what you're going to do, what you're going to do, what you're going to do. And we went to a conference.
Mhm.
Was it a conference? Set out to write a book and find a coach. And one guy came up and I said, "That's it. Angie, go sign us up. That's him. Angie, go sign us up."
Right.
And she's like, "Huh?" She kept, "Go sign us up. We came here for a coach. We're going, let's go." And here's at the end, we didn't even use the same coach, because here again, I tell you that coaching is about, you have to fit with the person. You're not meant to coach everyone. Kim didn't, she wrote her own. She rewrote. Angie used one coach, and I ended up not even using the coach that I sent her to sign up.
Go figure.
Now, as I talk that through.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bottom line is that and once we hired the coach, within months of 4 months or 4 to 6 months, we had a book that was done, published, because we had someone to keep us accountable. And that is what it's about. You have to have some accountability. And when you spend your money,
Mm-hmm.
that's all I need to say. You didn't spend your money.
Right.
I want some results.
I want some results for my money. And we did just that. But we had someone to hold us accountable.
Yeah, I think you've hit the hammer on the nail. It's really, all of this is really about accountability.
Mhm.
Because we had talked for years. Kim had written hers, so she updated it, and really just her getting the ball rolling made us accountable to do what we said we were going to do. Because even though we're officially named Transformation Trio, more recently, we've always been each other's accountability partners.
Absolutely.
And so it's just like, okay, she got it done. Oh man, that means I need to go ahead on and finish, get mine done. Which is a good, yeah.
Yeah. And even in getting it done, I'd mentioned it to Angie sometime back that I want to write a book on purpose. But just to show you how I have a chapter in my book that's like, who is your crew? Because who you surround yourself with really matters about how far you'll go, or how stagnant you'll stay.
Right.
And so Angie, I remember one day we were just having a conversation, and she said, we were saying something. I was like, yeah, because I do need to start that book. And I was like, and I had a really good title, but I can't remember what the title is. And I'm the type of writer that I need the title first.
Mhm.
like to know where I'm going. And
Right.
I was like, and so my little anal brain, I can't get started because now I need a new title. And she said, the title of your book was The Assignment. She had held on
Mm.
to the title,
Mm.
whereas I had forgotten. And so that is why who you surround yourself with is so and she gave me that. And I mean, I think I can almost remember where I was sitting that day when she said it. We got off the phone and I immediately wrote down like 8 chapter titles because I need the titles before I can dive in for how I
Right.
write. But
Right.
just her giving me that title, I remember I hung up with her and I wrote down 8 chapter titles, and from there I was getting to work. So coaches matter, but who you spend your time with
Really matters.
Yes.
Because we hold each other accountable.
Absolutely.
Hey, little girl, did you do such?
I'm a little girl, by the way.
Okay.
Nancy, did you do such? But we hold each other accountable. They're gonna call me because they know I'm gonna mess up everything technical. So, are you on? When it was time, both of them were texting me. Are you on?
I emailed you the link.
Yeah.
They read. So we're
Oh yeah, the 3 little dots. You couldn't find
Yeah,
it.
yes. You saw it here, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But just the fact that I know that one of them will be on my phone or I'm going to be on their phone makes you get it done.
Yes.
It
Yes.
makes you get it. It makes you move. And so, who's your crew?
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Just being able to, I take my hat off because it's to be able to compartmentalize your thoughts in a way, in an organized way, so that you can do chapters and stay on theme. I never thought of that before. I would just start off with the titles first, but it absolutely makes sense.
That's
Absolutely.
Kim. We
That's
didn't
me.
start out with a title. Like Kim writes backwards. She's always written backwards.
Really.
So don't mess up your brain over there trying to write like Kim. That works for
Give it a
her.
try first, Mike. Give it a try first.
I mean, it makes sense.
Because it makes sense, right?
It makes
Yes.
sense. Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
think I started with my title, friend. I'm gonna take up
Thank
for
you, friend. Thank you.
Yeah, and then my book kind of evolved out of a workshop that we did years ago,
Mhm.
and so we just finally put it in a book. But we were doing financial education, financial literacy workshops for our nonprofit and for churches, and so it just evolved from there. It's like, okay, well,
And
let's
as
just
I
keep
give
it
her a
moving.
hard time, I'm
Mhm.
in the process of writing a book now, and I started with the
The title,
title.
you write it backwards like Kim.
So, Kimmy, it's okay.
Thanks, Debbie.
So working together, and again going back to the spiritual piece, people will tend to hear that and think that you guys are that think that people who are Christians or spiritual or however you characterize it are soft or are pushovers or don't have that edge needed. Is that something that you've had to contend with? Have you had to be assertive? Is that something that you had to adopt? I know that Miss Debbie was saying that she's always been kind of the
Very
straightforward
direct.
one.
Yeah.
But I
But more so for
misread.
Miss
I
Angela and Miss
misread
Kim.
sometime though.
Oh, absolutely. She
I'm
is.
often
She's
misread.
very kind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
So,
then on top of that, being women as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something.
I'm 4'11", so I'm always it's always funny when they oh, that's cute. You thought you was gonna get to say that and I wasn't gonna say nothing. No.
Right.
Let me get you all together real quick in a nice little smile. So yes, I would definitely say as women, as Christian, I could get you together and I don't have to demean you, I don't have to curse you out. I don't need any of that to to help you think properly.
Understood. 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 One of the things that I often, I often bring up, particularly when I'm speaking with women like yourself, you all are very striking and attractive women, right?
Thank you.
You're women of color. You know what I'm saying? You are in a profession and a genre that I would assume is not necessarily evenly matched as far as male dominated versus women dominated. I'm sure it's not an equal thing. So people assume certain things, about who you are or the type of person that you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always curious to know, how you navigate, that thing, or are you even aware? Like, and this is funny, are you aware that you're pretty? Like, do you even think about
Oh, baby, I will.
And it sounds like a weird
If
question.
only you had known not to ask them that. I welcomed you to my world, but then I didn't give you all the proper warnings. Brother,
bag
friend.
of chips is what we say and what we raise our children to know. Yes.
Are you speaking in terms of people getting out of their place with us, or
Yes.
what?
Yeah. And particularly when you're dealing with people of the opposite sex. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So you're trying to do business,
Mm-hmm.
and they are too. However, they have these women, these beautiful women. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
they feel like, hey, well,
No, they
how
don't.
about dinner later, or how about
They don't feel it.
whatever. People, and this is something that I genuinely am curious about. Like, do people characterize you in a certain way because you're in a certain position, or you look a certain way? Is that something that you have to contend with?
I'll let
Kim,
you all
you want to
talk.
answer? I was going to say, Kim, you want to answer?
Oh,
Because
no,
I think I don't know. I feel like I just go. I think I give away these unavailable, not for rent signs flashing on my forehead or something. So I don't think I deal with it as much because I's married now. Like, I think I give out that I's married now vibe. So I don't think I make it to where you feel like you can approach me in that way. So
yeah, some individuals honestly feel like they can flirt their way into anything, you know what I'm saying, and not necessarily intimacy. I'm saying, like, getting a better rate, getting a better price, getting this or that. Oh, she's pretty, so if I just appeal to her pretty, maybe I can get a little. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, people assume that you're put together.
When I was a young girl, probably about 14 or 15, my dad said, "Kim, you're a pretty girl, but don't let that be the only thing that you are."
Mm-hmm.
So I move forward in that don't just be pretty. Don't just be that. Take care of business, do the research, be intelligent, and a compliment is not going to change the rate.
Right.
So I think in that, I'm the single here. These two have been married for eternity, it feels like. So we don't want. That's not conversations that they husbands. We're not going there with them anyway. So for me, I would say, I know how to say no. Like, and if I would have to say anything, I would say I learned how to say no from Debbie. Like, if I'd say what's the greatest thing she's ever taught me, it was how to say no. And it not to change.
Yeah.
No does not mean, oh, we can't do. No, that's my answer. I've had to tell people, just because you worded it different, I understood it again. It's still
You'll
no.
know.
Like the word selection was a little different. You swapped a few things, but
Right.
this N and O gonna stay right here, sir. So yeah, I think that has been. I always tell people one of the best things I ever learned was how to say no.
And Mike, I think I'm a little bit like Angie with that, in that when I meet you, I set the tone.
Right.
Mhm.
But if you go beyond it, I would say, "Oh, I'm sorry." If you just outright flirt with me, which I've had to happen, I would say, "I don't know what I sent off to let you know, think that was okay,"
Right.
Mm.
but it's not.
Mhm.
Right. Okay.
And so let's get back to what's at hand. And that usually solves it, because usually they expect you to be timid or tiptoe around. And here
Right.
no, I'm very direct. So what did I do? Because I'm gonna take the blame for it. I always think that, what did I do to make you think maybe
Right.
I did something, and if I did, I'm sorry.
Right.
But no.
Mhm.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm really down to a couple more questions. We've been doing more conversation than anything, but this is how kind of I envisioned it
Okay.
to be.
Right.
What's the most common misconception that people have about you as a group and or individually?
Well, since she's thinking, I will start. Well, people, their misconception for me is I just work, 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 work. Since I teach people how to start a business and deal with mindset, and surely she doesn't cook. Debbie, you can cook? Yes, I can cook. So I just look at it as I've done my job, and when I'm in this space, I'm in this space, and when I'm in this space, I'm in this space. So that's the biggest misconception, is they think I'm a workaholic, and I'm probably the least of any of that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
How
I
about
don't
you,
know
Miss?
I'll be honest. I don't know the answer to that one.
Yeah.
The greatest misconception.
I think for me, some people think I'm a little more serious than I really am.
Yes.
Yeah, I've had people that I grew up with, and like, oh, I didn't know she is. Yeah. So
Yeah, people do think you're real serious.
they think I'm really serious, and I'm probably the silliest of the bunch. So.
You're right.
For Kim, I think it depends on what space you're in.
Yeah.
Like, people may think that because she's in leadership that she's tough, or she's this, but she's really fair,
Yeah.
across the board, period. And that she loves her employees. She will go above and beyond. She will fight for them, and they could be wrong and not know it, but behind the door, she fights for them.
Yeah, for sure.
Hard. And so that would
Goes to that.
Yeah.
Well, being that you guys are all leaders in your own right, bosses in your own right. You make a lot of decisions. You are the face of a lot of things. A lot of things take place or don't take place based off of your say so. Are you able to? Have you mastered the ability to be able to turn that off in your personal relationships, in your friendships, in your marriages, and just when you're just genuinely chilling, no work, no anything, you just being who you are,
It better be.
bowling or whatever, out shopping. Is that something that you struggle with? That
I'm
being able to
learning.
turn off that
They've
part of your brain?
mastered.
I was about to say,
I'm learning, and they've mastered.
I can shut it down. For Kim, I will call and say, you can't do this, or you're not doing that, or
Stop.
stop. Go to bed.
Right.
But she
Right.
knows how to have fun. But I would like for one more vacation she went on. I was like, you're not allowed to answer your phone for any work things, or no one can call her. You know, we had to get to that
Right.
point. But yeah, we can shut down. I can surely shut down, and of course Angela can.
Yeah.
She gets there. And when
Why,
Kim
of
gets
course,
off the track,
like she's
when Kim gets off track, we just reel her back in.
Yeah, they push
Yeah.
me back.
I'll call her for lunch and
got you.
yeah.
Okay. I told you this was gonna fly by. We
You
already
did. You did. I
Um,
looked up at the 40 minute and said, he said this is gonna go by fast.
yeah, it's gonna fly. And I still feel like we only scratched the surface.
Right.
But
right.
Absolutely.
this is my last official question, and the question is for each one of you. It's a question that I ask all my guests. So once I ask the question, I want you to just take a moment, think about it, and give me the most honest and transparent answer that you can give me. All right. So here's the question, guys. What would have to happen in your life, if it hasn't happened already, for you to consider your life a success? What does success look like for you specifically?
Good question.
I think success is for each individual and what is important to you, and it is on different levels.
Yeah.
So success for me for family is what I want, you know, is what I have. In married, I've been married for 35 years. Not just married, I've been happily married. That is my friend.
Okay.
I have 3 beautiful daughters, grandchildren. So it depends on where you're speaking of. Work,
You tell me.
travel. So I
You
feel
tell me.
great. I don't go to bed stressed over if I coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, Miss Kim, Miss Angela, what does success look like for you specifically?
I was definitely thinking that it comes in different phases or stages. I'm one of those people that had little check boxes, you know, this house, that car, you know, I've checked those things. But I would say at this particular stage in life, family is very important. That would be I was having a conversation with my sister, and I was like, somebody I knew wasn't talking to their sister, and I was like, I pray that there is never a day that we're not talking, that we're not friends. And so definitely in that. Business wise, I just say, because I don't even think of this as business, I think of this as ministry, that this is where God called me. And so success would be able to touch as many lives and souls as I possibly can, to get people to say, you know what, I'm on the plan that God has for me.
Right.
I'm aligning with what God said I'm supposed to do. And so as many of those people that God allows me to touch, that'll be success for me.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah, I think you all have kind of like summarized everything I would say, because it is layered. It does change at different seasons. You know, do I feel like I've been successful so far? Yes. Are there other things that I still want to do? Yes, obviously, you know, and from family to losing the 10 pounds that found me back. Like I lost them and they were like, here we go, you know.
Here we go.
So yeah, and I think it's just really more so versus success. I used to not like this word when I was younger, but for me, it's really more about contentment. And I remember a Bible study I took once talking about, you know, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was, I've learned to be content no matter what circumstance I'm in, you know, whether I have a lot or a little. And so I wake up, you know, content.
Yeah.
Just happy with.
Yes.
I've got family, even when things aren't going so well. One of the things that we hold each other accountable to is keeping gratitude journals and just getting up to say, hey, I'm grateful for the day. I'm grateful for these people. I'm grateful for eyesight. I'm grateful to be able to go walk. I'm grateful that I had the food that I ate too much of. I'm grateful that I could reset,
Right.
for home, for health, for happiness, and then giving gratitude for the assignments that he has us on so that we can affect more people.
Mm-hmm.
So
Good answer, friend.
Very strong,
Thanks,
very
Fran.
strong answers. I'm very impressed. I'm very, very impressed. I want to thank you guys for coming on the platform. Again, I feel like we just kind of scratched the surface. So
Yes.
before we go any further, I want to extend to you an open invitation to come back at any time so that we can continue continue the course so we can learn even more about you three amazing women. There's a saying that says if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Go together.
Right.
And you got and that's what keeps ringing in my head as I speak to you guys, because you actually personify that saying.
Going together.
And so
Yes.
what you probably already realized this, but you guys are in the exception to the rule in so many ways because of your decision to collaborate and to come under one umbrella and move as a unit. There's not too many black, white, you name it. There's not too many people that actually do that. You know what I mean? And so, you are an example of what could be if we were more unified.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely. And again, once I, kind of dug deeper, to see what this movement was all about, I was, more and more impressed by, everything that you guys have been able to accomplish and the strides that you've made and continue to make. So, I want to tip my hat to you for that.
Thank you so much.
What do you guys have coming up? Do you have any events coming up or any books coming? What's next for you guys?
Our next big event is the God First Conference in February 2025. And it's going to be big. It's our second time doing the God First Conference. It was supposed to be a one and done, but it was so good that folks convinced me and us to do it again. And so now I'm kind of thinking it's an annual conference. But so we're very excited about that. It's a 2-day event here in Houston, Texas, Friday, February 21st and Saturday, February 22nd. And it's not something that you should miss. It should not be missed.
So what is this? What is the God First Conference? What is it about? If you could just kind of encapsulate it, like.
It is a conference about how to place God first in different areas of your life. So the sessions actually take place on that Saturday. Each of us present. Debbie, of course, on mindset and balance. Angie on your financial journey. We have a men's panel. We have another presenter who presents on wellness and physical healthiness. I close out the event on just our purpose and our relationship with God, how to live with God first in every aspect of our lives. And we kicked that thing off, as Debbie talked about a little earlier, on that Friday with an awesome praise and worship, a real party. Because life is about God being first. And so we start with the praise and worship, but we're not going to act like that we don't go to parties or that when we don't celebrate.
Right.
And like scripture. I ain't never seen no parties like the parties in scripture. So
and this one is going to have we do a theme party. Last year we did the 90s party, and this year we're doing
Go Western.
Go Western.
Yeehaw!
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So Mike, that's our next big event. And those that want to get tickets, they can go to transformationtrio.com. I want to stress that we do have payment plan options available through Klarna or Affirm. We want to take any excuse away for anybody to be able to come and attend. We know they're going to have a great time. But we also want to make sure that people are aware this event was born out of a prayer call that Kim does Monday through Friday at 7:20 called More Prayer, More Power. And if you want to transform your life and grow and just have the word broke down on a very just right there, you can't miss it level. I would encourage anybody listening to tune in 7:20 Central Standard Time. And the prayer line number is 563-999-2130.
What was that number again?
It's 563-999-2130. And I'm not just saying this because she's my friend. Like, I have grown over the years of getting up and starting my day with her.
We're on there every day.
We're on there every day.
The student is teaching the teacher, and I love it.
Right. So it is a wonderful transformative prayer line. And it starts with, brief Bible study, and then we pray. She prays over, what she's broke down. So this God First Conference was born out of the prayer line. I just wanted to make sure I said that. So while you're waiting to come and be with us February 21st through 22nd, join us on the More Prayer, More Power line.
Absolutely.
Monday through Friday. Get some word broken down.
With the word, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I am trying to from this podcast, I am trying to pivot into hosting. So maybe in the future, I would love to host something like that, like be a host of one of your things. I would love to throw my hat in the ring. I hope that I'm not being too forward.
There's
but
no such thing.
That's kind of what
you have not because you asked not. There's no such
right,
thing.
absolutely.
But, that's definitely something that I'm trying to pivot into.
Oh, cool.
What was I going to say? That's what was next. Oh, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you to get your services, or maybe something that you said on here, they wanted more clarity, or something resonated and they want to share something, maybe they want to sow into what you're doing, invest, or whatever the case, how can they get in touch with you?
Transformation, Kim.
TransformationTrio.com.
Mm-hmm. That's the best way.
That's the best way. All the information, all about us, the events, the coaching classes, all of that. Everything's there.
Absolutely. Okay. That's amazing, guys. I want to, again, thank you guys for coming on, taking the time out, because I know that you could be doing a bazillion different things right now. So I appreciate, your time. Your investment of time.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
And again, this is an open invitation. There's something that you want to promote, something else you want to talk about. We do panels where we talk about everything from health and beauty to marriage to finances, current events. We do all that. And so I would love to, include you in some of those things too. So again, this is an open invitation to you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any last words that you want that you all want to leave with the people before we sign off?
Ladies.
No, it's a nice word.
That's always her.
That's always her tag. No, it's a nice word.
And then
Okay.
I always say, there's a millionaire in you, and I need you to bring it out.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And I'm always just like to remind people that God has given you an assignment, and it is your job to discover that assignment and live in it.
What is it that you really, really want?
Mhm.
Well, again, thank you guys. I pray much blessings over everything that you've done
Thank
and
you.
everything that
Thank
you're doing,
you.
and even the things
Thank
that
you
you
so
have
much.
not even conjured in your mind yet. I,
Wonderful.
I wish you much
Receive
blessings
that.
on that.
I
And again,
received that. Yes.
Yes.
We receive it.
yeah,
Thank you.
and again, I tip my hat to you guys because you guys are definitely, the anomaly, the exception to the rule. Um, and again, thank you again for being so transparent with me and funny and everything else. I appreciate that. Thank y'all so much.
Thanks
Thank
again for
you.
having us.
All right, you guys have an amazing weekend, and we definitely will be in touch.
Okay.
All
You
right.
too.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
So there you guys go. Um, another amazing interview with another group of amazing people. This is, again, like I was sharing with the ladies, this is an example of what can take place if we decide to make the decision to unify, to bring our superpowers together to create, a super movement. Um, this is what we need. This is what people need. This is what the culture needs. So, for those of you who are watching and those who will watch later on the playback, please reach out to Transformation Trio, dig into what they do, see if you can get involved, see if you can invest, see if you can sow. It's definitely a worthwhile movement. Shout out to them, Miss Debbie, Miss Angela, and Miss Kim. No, they're not a singing group, but a transformation group, Transformation Trio. And as always, I encourage you, if there's something that God is leading you to do, so He's giving you vision, dreams, thoughts that trouble your sleep, that invade your thoughts during the day, I encourage you guys to step out, because there's a remnant of folks that are waiting for you to make certain decisions, and that's why God is giving you what He's given you. So walk out, step out on it, and where there's vision, God provides provision. So don't be afraid to be that. If it's be an architect. If it's writing a book, if it's being a financial advisor or a life coach, or a lawyer, or a doctor, a dentist, a garbage man, a politician, whatever it is. If God is leading you to do it, do it. Simple as that. So again, I want to thank you guys for coming out, or for watching, not coming out, but watching. And I thank those that will watch later on the playback. Thank you in advance for your support. Please go to YouTube. As you can see on the ticker, Let's Take a Walk featuring Transformation Trio. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please do that. We're trying to get our subscribers up, because we're going to do a lot of revamping for the new year. It's not going to look like this this is not going to look like this too much longer. We're going to kind of update our look and do a few things different that I hope that you will like. So with that being said, man, good night, and y'all take care. Let's take a walk.